And I think 50% of our audience here today is scale-up CFOs across UK and Europe. And 22% of them are actually finance managers and controllers who perhaps one day have aspirations to be CFOs. So maybe let's focus first on how to be a rockstar CFO, right? What would you say defines the characteristic of a rockstar CFO?
Sure. And there's not like a one size fits all type of thing.
Of course.
But when I wrote my book a few years ago, I identified several characteristics that the elite CFOs shared. And you'd asked me actually what was my inspiration for writing the book. And, being from Boston, I ignored the question and I apologize for that. But I actually, in the course of running the Leadership Council, I was just meeting great CFOs all the time. So I didn't so much as interview them as had conversations. And I realized I had all of this great information and decided to share it with the controllers. My thought was it would be good for the controllers and people like that who aspire to become CFOs. But then I shared it with the CFOs and I'm like, hey, is this any good? Am I on the right track here? And they said, yeah, but we want this too. So I ended up doing a presentation for CFOs and wrote the book. But there's a lot of, I actually identified 9 characteristics of what I called rockstar CFOs. And I won't bore you with all 9 of them, but some of them are kind of interesting. The main one is strategic thinking. And that's sort of back when I was a CFO back in the 1400s, but not quite that long ago. But in the day, it was very much a backwards looking job. You focused on reporting history. And now CFOs, they're strategic thinkers. I know you, Joyce, partner with your CEO and some other people on strategic initiatives across the company. And that's kind of the current CFO today. It's more forward looking. I like to use the phrase, don't record history, make history. And that's the opportunity CFOs have today. But the other thing that they're expected to do is provide ethical leadership. And that doesn't just mean being ethical yourself, because I think in my experience, most CFOs are ethical. If they weren't, they might have picked a different career path. But, providing ethical leadership, maintaining a culture of ethical accountability, and making sure that people behave in an ethical way every day in every way. Don't just talk about it, but actually live it a little bit. And then there's some other things. I did write them down. They're involved in deal making. And again, it's not final negotiations at the end. It's actually developing the opportunities. They work very cross-functionally. I don't know a lot of CFOs these days who only work in finance and accounting. A lot of them are involved in sales and marketing and customer support and operations and strategy. They're great at building teams. So, and again, not just finance and accounting, but across the entire enterprise. CFOs are a critical part of developing teams because they're such a part of the culture and whatnot. And then the other thing that might be kind of interesting, I guess to me it's a bit of a passion, is, and I'd love to hear if you do it too, but learn continuously, because the role is always changing. And it used to be you could be a really, really good accountant, a rise to the CFO type job, and just stay current on the new accounting rules. And that was kind of all you needed. But now it's not really like that. You've got to learn continuously. You've got to understand technology, strategy, operations. And there's so much involved in that. But these are some of the things, some of the practices I think that the elite CFOs I've spoken to have worked in. So
I think the most, call it elite or forward-thinking CFOs we work with actually now are know how to do coding, right? So they know how to work in Google MySQL. They know about BI visualization tools. And they are a critical business partner to not just the CEO, but every single commercial and non-commercial leader in the business. And that's also how you, how you make yourselves value to a business, and its shareholders in really creating and optimizing value.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I often ask CFOs, it's like, do you go on sales calls? And most of them don't, but a lot of them do. And what they realize when they go on it is they're actually really good at selling. And it's because, it's flattering to the potential customer that the CFO that she or he is taking time to be on the sales call. But then there's a trust factor that CFOs have that other people don't. I mean, fundamentally, like most people, when they hear something from the CFO, they usually think it's true. But, maybe if you hear the exact same thing from sales or marketing, you could say, well, they're selling or spinning or something like that. But CFOs justifiably, are, considered highly ethical type of people. So.